to a YouTube channel near you.
Well, hello. Sorry, I forgot to add myself in the show after the intro. Well, welcome. I'm Althea, and this is Spiritual Street Talk with Althea Jacob. And I really hope that tonight you will get something out of what I'm talking about, the answers to questions that people ask, the comments that come up. Um, this show is designed to be for you. It is a way to simplify and talk about what's going on in the world, put a spiritual perspective in place, and just try to give a little bit of encouragement and comfort and help to um, help to get through the day by remembering that, hey, we are more than our physical body. We are spiritual beings that chose to be here to have certain lessons, to shine our light, share our love, figure out our soul purpose, leave a legacy of kindness, and have a positive impact on everybody we meet along the way. So with that being said, the format for the show, for any of you that are just tuning in for the first time, for the next 5 or so, 10 minutes, maybe less, I'll talk about what's been on my mind and heart this week, any messages that have kind of come from spirit of things I should be pondering or thinking about. And then I have messages from spirit using oracle cards and angel cards that I've already selected for the day. I asked after praying right before tuning into the show. So we'll see what those are. And they're always fun because it doesn't matter whether you're watching live tonight or whether you are tuning in tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. Because you're tuning in to this particular episode, when those messages come out, more often than not, there's a little nugget that's in there for you. There's something that's going to give you some comfort, give you some guidance, give you that, now I get it kind of moment. So look for those and know that there's no coincidences here. You're tuned in to this station, to this show at this time to hear those kind of messages and also to hear some of the conversations that go on tonight. And by conversations, I mean, if you are tuned in live tonight, as some of you are, and welcome. If you have a specific question for me, what's important to do is put it all in capital letters so that it'll kind of pop out of the chat line. And also, if you have a specific topic or just area that you want me to comment on or talk about or teach even. Some people have asked me, can you teach me how to see auras? Or can you teach me how to read palms? Or can you teach us how to tune into our intuition better? Or can you teach us how to use and program pendulums? Yes. This hour is for you. I'm, again, here. My intention is to bring information through, to download information, to talk about topics that are most meaningful to you. And so that's where we are. All right. And I will get to questions everybody has in the comments after just a little talking and going through the messages from spirit. So be a little patient, but I promise you, I will get to you and we'll get there. Okay, so this week, what has been going on this week? I also just can't believe how fast time seems to be just speeding by. That to me is amazing. It's like, oh my God, it's Thursday already. Wow, that's crazy, fun, but crazy. It just seems like each day seems to go by faster and faster with trying to get stuff done and learning and sharing and teaching and working with clients and like, whoop, here we are. So if you're feeling like life is a blur right now, you're not alone. Second thing is it's cold out there. Holy moly. It is like, yeah, it's cold. You know it's cold when your dog that has a really big fur coat and that would normally stay out there until you drag his sorry butt back in or call him and he comes. He's at the door like barking to come back in after a few minutes going like, it's cold out here. I want to come in too. So one of the things that's kind of fun is that's been about the cold weather is it really gives us a chance to appreciate the warmth we have in our homes, the warmth of our clothing, the warmth of our vehicle as we're getting around, the appreciation we have for the people that maintain our roads to keep the snow and the ice clear for us so we can drive safely. So it's going to be pretty cold pretty much everywhere in the US over the next couple of days. And so I really want to advise anybody who's tuning in more live-ish, like tonight or tomorrow, really be paying attention to your promptings you get from spirit right now, because those messages are going to be critical to help keep you and your family safe, most likely, right? So if you kind of get that feeling of, maybe I should stock up on some firewood for the fireplace, or the pellets for the pellet heater, or however you heat your house, right? Maybe I should get an alternative source, make sure there's plenty of water, and make sure I have candles and flashlights and blankets and all the extra stuff you would need just in case you have a power outage, right? Because I know they're forecasting some of that. In your car, make sure you have an emergency kit and extra blankets and hats and gloves and stuff in case you get stuck, because what they're forecasting is a lot of icy roads. And what happens when there's a lot of icy roads? There's accidents. And so you may not be in that accident, and I hope that's the case. And you may be stuck in your car for hours and hours and hours while they're waiting to clear up whatever the mess is. So you want to make sure you have some food and some water, just all that practical stuff. See, we can be very spiritual in our day-to-day living, but we're here to also live in the earth plane, right? And to be in the physical world. So using our intuition to know, like, okay, I should take this road instead of that road, or I should avoid this area, or I should make sure I have an extra case of water in the house, or whatever that prompting is. Follow that intuitive knowing that's coming to you. And, worst case, you won't need it. You'll have an extra case of water lying around. And if things go badly and you lose power and you don't have water, you're going to be very glad you listened to your intuition, right? So I think that's a big part of what I've been feeling these days more and more, that it's so hard to know what's true out there. Here in the States, it is chaotic, to say the least. There's stuff happening, and you turn into one news channel and you hear one perspective or version, and then you tune into a different channel and you get the opposite perspective and channel. And these are supposed to be news shows that are just reporting the facts, reporting what happened. And I'm like, oh my goodness, so it's more important than ever that we develop that sense of knowing, that sense of discernment, so that we can figure out what's going on here or not. Okay, so that's been on my mind a lot. Like, how do we navigate this terrain without, you want to make sure to stand up and make sure we're speaking truth to power, but we also want to make sure we do it in a way that doesn't make us become a target, and that we do it in a way that's effective and useful, right? Ranting and raving on texts and on Facebook probably, may make you feel good, but it's probably not the most effective way to get your point across. Speaking at your town hall meetings, or calling up your Congress people or your senators and expressing your concerns or your desires or your approvals, that's important. That at least lets them know. And certainly when it comes time for elections, get your butt to the polls and vote, right? You don't have a right. We don't have a right to complain if we haven't participated. And so that's another part of it as well. All right. What else has been on my mind and heart? My dog's been on my mind and heart a lot. I've talked about Flash before. I know he's getting older, and poor boy, it's his back legs keep giving out on him, and my back is killing me because I keep lifting him up to help me. um, to help me, to help him up the stairs, or to help him onto the bed, or help him on, because he's still a puppy head, right? They're always our puppy. We got him when he was 8 weeks old, and he's 13 now. So he's been a big part of my life for a long time. And so, watching them get old and watching them have issues. And when, we're getting older ourselves and we have our issues, it's like, oh, come on, buddy. You want them to stay with us, not forever, but a lot longer, right? It's so hard to say, okay, I'm ready to let go. And I know I'll know when, like any owner, of your pet, you're going to have a sense of a connection, and you're going to know when it's time. But there's funny things that have happened, like because of his back legs giving out every now and again, as he's walking along every now and again, he'll just kind of drop a turd. Or I'll come home after being away, and there's just a little turd just sitting there on the carpet. And I'm like, really? Just really right here in the middle, but he doesn't know he's doing it. So I can't be mad at him. It's not like a dog that's not housebroken and that is housebroken and is doing it on purpose. But I'm like, oh my God. And I saw him one day, he was just walking, and it was just totally clueless outside. Even he just didn't know that it happened. I was like, all right. So on one hand, it's a little funny, I'm trying to look at it as the funny side of it. Obviously it's, another sign of another signal that, things are progressing. And, once he gets to a certain point, it'll be like, okay, buddy, here's the time. But that's on my mind and heart. So that's always a little challenging. We just love them. And, I have a little, it's called a ginger lead. It's kind of like a band that goes under his belly. It's kind of like a soft harness. So I can also lift him up and help him around. And I'll do that as long as I can. We just love him. But I look at his spirit, and I think, he doesn't seem like he's complaining that every now and again his legs give out. Right. He leaped over a snow drift here the other day, like he normally would. He's very athletic. He was a very athletic dog. And so I think he was just forgetting, like, he's older. Does that ever happen to us? Right. We go to try to do something we did, when we were 20 or 30 years younger. And it's like, oh yeah, no, I can't quite do that anymore. I remember I tried to do a cartwheel, not within the last couple of years, but maybe like 5 years ago. I'm like, oh yeah, I used to do cartwheels all the time. I landed on my butt. Excuse me. And he went leaping through the snow and out onto the driveway. I think he was on the scent of a rabbit. But anyway, his front legs land just fine. And when his back legs came over the snowdrift, flop right on the ground. And he's just laying. He's just not laying because his front legs were up, but his back end was down. And he's kind of looking at me like, I meant to do that. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. If you don't get up within 30 seconds, I'll get my shoes on and come help you. Sure enough, he gets himself up and he goes, and that's the end of it. It's not like people, and that was the part of the lesson I saw. It's like, how many of us hold on to our infirmities, right? We claim them. My arthritis, my cold, my sore throat, it's like, wait, stop claiming it as yours. Let it go. Try to heal it. And yeah, it might be like, yeah, my throat is sore. That's fine. Right. Or my knees hurt. Right. That's fine. But I look at him and there's no excuses. He still gets where he needs to go. He still wants to play. He still wants to eat. He still wants his snuggles. He's still a little sassy boy. And all you dog owners will know what I'm talking about. When they become sassy, it's like, and now I think the funny thing is, I think he realizes he can get away with more, because he'll bark at the front door like, I want to go out, or he'll go over into the laundry room where the box of cookies is, and he'll sit there and he'll bark for a cookie. And I'm like, I've become my dog's valet, his chauffeur, his doorman, his cook, his butler. It's like, and then carrying up the, helping him up the stairs to get to bed. I'm like, okay, but he knows that, right? So he'll take advantage of that. But he's still, he goes on with his life. If I'm not engaged with him, if I'm working at the office, sometimes I'll look at him and he's lying by me. He'll pounce on a ball, or he'll be, amusing himself and doing the things he always did. There's not a pity party. There's not oh, I'm just going to lay here because, every now and again my legs give out. No pity party. He's an inspiration that way. And it was just a reminder to me of so many of us are suffering with different challenges, right? The latest for me is my right hand, the last two fingers. Like, I was trying to learn sign language because there's a friend of mine that's hearing impaired, and I was starting to read the alphabet. So it was A, right? And they went to do I, and I realized I can't get my finger up to I. I can do it on this hand, but I've been having some neurological challenges, and I'm like, I can't get those fingers. They're like, F you, I'm not doing it. I'm like, come on, get up there, and it won't work, right? So I'm like, all right, well, I can still manage, right? I can still use my left hand for things. I can still go forward. I'm working with my doctor, so I'm not ignoring a problem or a condition or a symptom, right? But I'm not going to let myself sit there and go, oh, poor me. I can't type on the computer because I can't get the letters that I normally would with my right hand. Okay, so there's other ways to navigate things, right? So I think a lot of times challenges that we are presented are given to us to help us become more resilient and to figure out how can we persevere, how can we do things differently. They're not meant to be a challenge. They're not meant to be, oh, well, the universe is out to get you. No, most of the time, the challenges that we face are given to us as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to figure out something about ourselves. Sometimes it's just to develop compassion. How many times have you thought about somebody else and kind of, and I'm guilty of this. I came from New York, and it was very, very easy to do a quick snap judgment of somebody until you have something that humbles you and knocks you down, and where you need help getting up, so to speak. Maybe you don't have that compassion or that same way of looking at it. I know I needed to have a few things happen in my life. And when I look back at it and you say, oh, why did these horrible things happen to a basically good person? I tried to be the best I can. And most of us are, right? Now, I don't think I know a single person who's like, I set out to be a malicious SOB. No, we don't do that, right? We all try to do the best we can with what we have. And so I think part of the lessons that come, the things that hit us, are a test to see how fast can we get out of the quicksand. And then once we figured out how to get out of the quicksand and get back on track with our life, how compassionate can we be and helpful can we be when we see our neighbor, our friend, our loved one falling in a similar type of quicksand pit? So that's why I was in the quicksand, so I could learn how to get out. All right. So I want to do a quick shout out. I see we have Ken here, and Amy, and John. Welcome, welcome. And Air shares. Hello, welcome. So, so we're at the point of the show tonight where I'm going to start doing the messages from Spirit. And again, listen for something that really will resonate with you, right? It's going to ring true in your heart. It's going to make sense to your brain. Your gut's going to go, yep, got it. And those are the things to kind of hold on to. So the very first card I chose for tonight is a card called, it's an oracle card, and it's clairvoyance. And it says, see the truth as it is, not what you want it to be. Know that you can penetrate the darkness and observe the facts in all things. your eyes can shine with loving light. And so clairvoyance, when we think about clairvoyance in a psychic or spiritual sense, that is the seeing and perceiving of things that are on a higher vibration or that are in a different dimension, or it's just non-ordinary way of seeing, right? You might see auras, you might see and communicate and get messages from interdimensional beings, whether those are angels or loved ones in spirit or benevolent aliens or whatever, right? You may perceive that. Clairvoyance is also that knowing. You may look across at someone at church or at the office or at the ball game or wherever you're at, and you may look across and just notice the energy around somebody and say, oh, I have the feeling like they're going through a rough time. Maybe I should go up and, like, if it's a friend or loved one, give them a hug, check in with them, see how they're doing, ask them how they are, just kind of show that you care, right? So that's clairvoyance as well. That kind of just that knowing when you're perceiving that energy around that person, that there's something going on. And it can be a good thing. You could be looking and perceiving around a woman and say, oh my God, I feel this joyousness around her. And oh, wow, she's pregnant. She's going to have a baby. I can just tell from the energy around her. Be really careful about going up to somebody with that one, because if you're wrong, it could be really embarrassing, right? You may look at somebody and feel like, wow, there's some really great news. Some blessing is just poured into their life. And so you can go up to them and say, hi, how you doing? And, when they tell you something good, you're like, oh, that's so great. I could just kind of tell from the pep in your step and your energy was just glowing, right? So that's clairvoyance. So those are ways that, we can take that word that sounds all psychics, airy fairy, spooky stuff. It's like, no, it's day to day. We're constantly tuning into people's energies and getting a sense for it. By what we look, we get an impression. And learning how to trust that impression and go with that, that's part of what clairvoyance is. The next angel card that I chose was Innocence. And Innocence says, beloved one, everyone is guiltless in truth, as no one can alter God's handiwork of perfection. Give your angels your feelings of heaviness so we can lighten your load. Give us any guilt, anger, or blame that may shroud your loving outlook in order to enjoy the peace within your heart once more. So when I first saw that card of Innocence, I thought, oh, what are we going to talk about? Innocent, guilty, innocence, loss of innocence, no. What's it talking about here, right? It's like, it's that feeling of letting go of all of those impure thoughts, those judgments, the blame, the anger, the guilt, all those negative feelings. Those are the things that pull us off of our center and make us feel like we're not worthy, that we are not the amazing sons and daughters of God, of the source, or of the creator that we are. We are part of this amazing experiment called life, right? And we, by virtue of that alone, are worthy, right? And so many of us put all these little barriers and steps and challenges, and I got to do all this stuff to feel like I am. Okay, the next card that comes from the angels is the card of opportunity. And this says, we are all presented with opportunities and are expected to flow with the currents that come our way. Something is now being made available to you, and it is up to you to use it to your greatest advantage. Be alert, be aware, and be prepared. Okay, so opportunity, looking for that, right? Look at the flow here. So the clairvoyant says, be perceiving tune into the energy, kind of read the room, right? Read the people, read the room, see what's going on. Innocence says, let go of all the negativity and reclaim that sense of purity and power that is your birthright. And through that power, you're going to then perceive in the room or the place or your life the opportunities that are there and ready to bless you and bring things to you. Okay, so then we have, I picked 3 tarot cards for today. Past, present, and future, past influences leading to the now, what's actually happening now, and then what are we kind of setting up pattern-wise for the future? So the first card, and by the way, they're all swords today. And I was like, whoa, it's a sword day. So the swords, the whole suit of swords represents our power in the world, what we do in the world, our legacy that we create, but it's also how we make our living. And swords can sometimes be about the contentions and the burdens that we have in our life. So I like this card because it's upside down, because it says we learn what to leave behind. We learn how to be balanced and not take on too much. And so what's been leading up to this moment now has been saying, no, we're not now to the things that are overwhelming. And I might be really sorry I can't, but right now I just can't. I can't take on one more thing. In fact, I heard myself telling a great colleague today who was asking me to do something, that he thought would be very useful for me to do. And I just stopped him in his tracks. I said, I cannot add one more thing right now. I just can't. I know myself, and I'm already feeling on that edge of overwhelm. And I'm like, no. One more thing is going to be like that straw, that proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back. I'm like, no, not one more thing right now. Just can't. So you have to know yourself. And this card is like, that's what this card is all about. Know yourself. Know not just your limitations, but know what your capacity is. So if you're somebody who's a weightlifter and you can very easily bench press 100 pounds, cool. Don't try 200, right? You might want to stretch a little and see if you could do 110, right? Or you back it off because it's a rough week and maybe you do 80, but you do more reps. Okay, cool. Know yourself. That's what this whole card is about. The next card is also swords, and this is the 4 of swords. And I love this because this is what's happening in the now. And this is us reclaiming our worthiness. This card, when it's right side up, is the challenges of all of the little hoops that we put ourselves through, or the tests that we do, or here's the checklist of all the things I have to do in my life and all the things I need to be and become before I feel worthy. And this card being upside down says, you know what? Been there, done that. Don't need to do that anymore. I am a worthy person because of who I am, not necessarily because of what I do. And so claiming that birthright of worthiness and not getting hung up with any part of I'm not good enough that we have talked ourselves into in the past. It's like exercise that demon that says you're not good enough, or I have to do better, I have to do more. There's a far different feeling that goes with I have to do better because I want to do better and I'm growing and learning and I'm moving in that direction and I want to become the best possible me I can, versus I have to do better because I'm not good enough. I have to do better because I'm not living up to somebody else's expectation of me. Big difference, guys. Right? Self-improvement and getting better from that point of view, aces. I'm a life coach. I'm all about that, right? But feeling like you're not good enough until you do better in certain areas of your life, you're messing around with the wrong kind of psychology there. You are holding yourself up to standards that and a lack of self-love when you are that hard on yourself that you don't feel worthy unless you can tick off all those boxes. Okay. You are lovable, loving, worthy individual by the nature of who you are. And if you're tuned into this channel and this show, you are also a light worker and somebody who has gifts to share and a purpose in your soul that you are working on trying to actualize in your day-to-day life. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have found this channel. It wouldn't have appealed to you to be like, oh, I should tune into Spiritual Street Talk, right? You just wouldn't have done it. But because you've done it, it says a lot about who you are at your core. So acknowledge that, embrace that, love that part of yourself. Okay, and the last card that came up is for the future. Where are we going with this? The Three of Swords, because it's upside down, it's like I am pulling out any of the old drama that I allowed people to program into me. Take your sword back. Take your sword back. I'm not accepting the drama anymore. I'm going to heal my heart, open it up for love again, and go forward with this knowing and belief and this truth that I am a person worthy of love. I am loving and lovable, right? In all contexts of your life. And if there's anybody in your life who makes you feel less than that, tell them to hit the road. Stay away from that person. Don't engage with them. And if it's somebody that you're married to or connected to and living with, or a family member that's in your home, you need to have a serious conversation with that person, because it's important for you to know how loved you are, and anybody who makes you feel less than is not your friend. They don't love you the way that they say they love you if they're tearing you down and making you feel less than. Okay, and then the final message I have for today is from my book, which is A Portal to Potential. This is a book that was written to encourage and empower the readers, to help you figure out what is your soul's purpose. How can you have more meaning in your life, more peace and love and joy in your day-to-day activities? It has really inspirational passages. Most of it was channeled. It has some ancient wisdom in it. It has practical advice in it. And it has sections that have questions and thoughts for you to ponder and see how it may apply to your life. So anyway, it was meant to be a support tool along the journey of life for us here. Okay, and it's on Amazon and it's $10. So feel free to dive in and get a copy any old time you like and get one for your friends. Okay, so when I cracked it open asking for a message for today, I went to the part that says, make your days and weeks be filled with purpose, full of joyful fun and meaningful work. Ever move in the best possible direction for you, using, amplifying, and adding to the gifts, blessings, and opportunities in your life. Be in the service of the light during all you encounter along your journey. What does it mean to be in the service of the light? Again, if you're tuned into this show, this whole channel, this network, you are in the service of the light. That means you are somebody that knows better, that you have a conscience, that you are self-aware, and that you are determined to have a positive impact on the lives of others, to be the best possible you can be, to express the deepest levels of creativity in your soul. And that becoming is what this whole life is about, right? Becoming the best possible you can. And in the service of the light also means you are in the service of others, that you are there to help. Once you figure it out, you're like, oh, okay, back to the quicksand. Once you figure out how to get out of quicksand, you are compelled. I was going to say motivated. No, you are like a wild child. You are compelled to try to help anybody else you see struggling in that quicksand. Hey, hi, Michelle. Welcome. Hi, Joseph. Welcome. Okay. So that's all the messages. And so now we're going to go to the chat and see what kind of questions are sitting out there for me. All right. So give me a second to scan and look for some capitals. Okay. So I have one here from Ayer shares, and it says, what does Dr. Faisal think of me? Okay, so what I can tell you, just in general, and a lot of times I want to kind of precede an answer to a question with kind of like a teachable moment here, right? Because I am a teacher after all, as well as a life coach. So when you ask what somebody else thinks of me, the first reaction I have to that is, well, as a psychic, that's kind of voyeuristic for me to tune into somebody's energy who hasn't asked me directly, right? But what I can tell you is we all have in our own energy fields all of the imprints of the people whose lives touch us and the lives that we touch. And so I can tell you, that in your energy field, there is a positivity that comes from that person towards you, right? It's imprinted in your aura. It's there. There's a positive feeling that's there. There's also a little bit of distance. So it's not like I'm here and I want to get closer. It's kind of just like, it's just kind of there. There's a little bit like a respectful boundary and a distance that's there. So there's a positivity, but it's not like in your face. Okay. So I would say that this person, because of the imprint there, they like you, they respect you. There may even be a deeper connection there that's there because it's strong in your energy, but there's also something that's a barrier that I'm perceiving in the energy flow. And so that to me indicates a sense of distance, whether it's a physical distance or whether it's an emotional distance or some other obstacle like a third person that's sort of interfering in some way. Okay. All right. We are in the same study group. Oh, what study group is that? Okay. I'm assuming this is not necessarily a serious question, but you know what? I am willing to talk about pretty much anything. So Ken is asking, what is my opinion of coffee enemas? Well, if it is prescribed by your doctor, and they think that that is the best way for you to clean out your system, then go for it. What I have found, and many of my friends have found, is that especially if you drink a strong coffee, it's going to clean out your system anyway. So you don't have to put it in that end. You can drink it the normal end and you're going to be okay. All right. So we have some comments about Flash here. Got to build a doggy chairlift for him. Yeah, I will know when the time is approaching. He is a cute boy. And then, right. And Amy here is telling us about her pug. I'm going to put this up because it's just fun. And it's like, my pug pounded on the door like a cop to be let back in. Yep, with the cold weather. Yep, you get it. It's like, let me in, mommy, now. Gotcha. And we have John, who's wishing everybody here in America blessings. Hey. And okay, and we have John, who's also saying hi to Grizz. Where's that? There. And so one thing I do want to mention, just our gratitude that goes to Chris Grizzly and to his wonderful partner, Mary. They are the heart and soul of the Bigfoot Network, and they are doing amazing things behind the scenes to help this whole network grow in order to bring on even more hosts and more shows that have the themes and the opportunities to share and network and ask questions and have readings that y'all are looking for. And if it wasn't for their vision and their hard work and their love of everyone that's on this whole platform, we all wouldn't be here. So I always like to do a shout out to them and send them our love and our appreciation. I miss having him as my producer, co-host kind of thing where he can be on and add some questions, but he is so busy doing all the behind the scenes things to help the network grow that he's not on too many channels anymore. He does have a couple shows that he does. And so if you look at the Bigfoot, I think it's the Bigfoot, Facebook page, I think he lists all the different shows, including the ones he's doing there. But thank you, John, for thinking of Grizz and reminding me to do a shout out on that, because I love them both very much. And I'm so grateful. I wouldn't be doing the show if it wasn't for them. They set up the show. They taught me how to do everything. They gave me the whole idea and platform of what to do. And, they're the ones, they're behind it all. And so I'm so grateful because they're helping me fulfill part of my soul's purpose, which is to bring stuff through and to share and to answer questions and try to help make all this spirituality much more accessible to everybody. And to teach you how to use your own intuition and how to use different tools and give you a straight answer about something. Somebody asked me about a Ouija board the other day. And it was just like, you could see the fear, like, you didn't use a Ouija board when you were younger, did you? And I'm like, well, as a matter of fact, I did. And they're like, oh, weren't you afraid? It's possessed by the devil. I'm like, no, it's not. It's a tool. It's a tool like any other tool, right? You're not going to condemn a hammer because some crazy person, used it improperly and, hurt their neighbor. Meanwhile, the person who knows how to use the tool, of that hammer can hang a picture or build a house, if they're a really skilled carpenter. So to me, when they said, well, why did you stop using it? I said, because it was too dang slow, spelling out messages one letter at a time, one word at a time. Holy moly, it took forever to get a sentence. And once you've trained yourself and opened up to hear the voice of spirit, and you can get the promptings and you can perceive the messages as a stream of consciousness, that you can write the whole page almost as fast as you can take down the dictation almost from spirit. Why would you want to use it one letter at a time? So I still have my old Ouija board. It's sitting in one of my areas where I have, decks of cards and runes and, all the whole assortment of tools that I've used over the years, but I don't use it anymore because it's too dang slow. Anyway, but there's no question I won't answer, as you just saw from the coffee one. If it's a serious, even if it's a semi-serious question, I'm going to approach it and answer it, because again, this is your time. And if that's what's on your mind and heart, and that's something you want to know about, I'm more than happy to tune in and see what we can get. Okay. So please remember to put it in caps. I see a question. I just happen to see it here, Seashell. May I ask about mermaid energy or spirit that you're feeling around you? Okay, so mermaid energy is really cool because mermaids to me fall into the category of nature spirits. So they are the equivalent of the fairies in the fields. The mermaid energy is that same kind of fairy-ish energy, but of the sea. Typically, they come to us. That mermaid energy comes when there's transformation coming. Also, when we're trying to attract love into our life, because what's one of the powers that mermaids were known to have, right? Their singing was supposedly a call to the sailors to come and lured people to them. So there's that aspect of maybe this energy is because you're trying to pull something towards you, whether it's a new partner, whether it is a new opportunity, a new job, a new living situation, especially if it's by or near or on the water, anything having to do with the sea, the lake, the rivers, anything that has that water element to it. That would be part of why you're feeling that energy around you. I hope that makes sense. All right. And then let's see other questions here. Got a bunch of hellos and howdies. Okay. So Aisha is asking, when will I meet my life partner? Well, Aisha, you probably don't remember. If you're new to the show, you probably haven't heard me say it. And even if you have been around for a while, maybe you missed it. I don't fortune tell, right? I can tell you, I can read your energy. I can read anybody's energy, right? That's part of what we do. We read each other's, we perceive the energy. I can see how ready or receptive you are to have somebody in your life, but you actually have the agency and the ability to project for and manifest what you want in your life, including that life partner. So if meeting that life partner is a priority to you, then you would be putting that energy out there, and every day you'd be looking to manifest getting yourself in the best possible position and best possible version of you, so that you will attract somebody who will resonate with that best possible version of you. I will tell you that when I first got divorced about 3 years ago, I was obviously a mess. And anybody that I met in that time frame would be somebody that was responding to the energy of a messed up me. Fast forward to now, it's been, 2.5, 3 years, and I'm starting to feel that vibe now of I'm hitting my groove. I'm feeling energetically, spiritually stronger than I have in a very long time. And I think I've kind of figured out, okay, this is what I want. This is where I'm going. And if I can find and attract somebody who wants to meet me where I'm at now, well, that person's going to be a lot better suited to me now than if, and he would not have been attracted to me, the me that I was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So when you're asking about meeting a life partner, the questions I typically would have if I was in a life coaching situation with you would be, okay, so if we are mirroring out to the world, this is who I want, and this is how I want them to treat me, based on how you treat yourself and how you behave and what you do and your interests and whatnot, you're sending out those signals to find somebody else that is in that same thing. I got a little message there off to the side. Pardon me. I don't know why I got that. Anyway, so the short of it is, if you work on becoming the best possible version of you that you can, and you put out to spirit, I want somebody who is also equally working on themselves and can meet me where we're at, so that we are both powerful, empowered, loving people that are spiritual, that are worldly, that are balanced, that are fun-loving, etc., then you're going to attract that sooner than later. But if you're just kind of sitting there saying, well, I'll work on me one of these days, and, let's see who shows up, that's a whole different way to go about it too. So when will you meet that life partner? The short answer is when you are ready. When you are ready, truly ready. What does that mean? What's the best possible version of you that has something to offer to that life partner? How solid are you in your life? How together are you with your stuff? Have you healed your heart from old wounds and now can open it up again to have the partner, your life partner, come into it? How busy is your day? If Mr. Right or Miss Right comes along and said, hey, let's go out on Thursday night. And you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. Well, how about Friday? No, I'm busy. How about Saturday? No, I'm busy. If you are so super overcommitted and busy that you wouldn't even have time to date and get to know Mr. or Miss Right when they show up into your life, then that's also something you got to look at and say, wait a minute, I need to create some space to allow that person to come into my life. So there's so many things that we can do if we are feeling like, I want that life partner sooner than later. There's a lot of things that we can do to help ourselves in order to have that happen sooner than later. So I know you want me to look at your energy and say, okay, by November, they're going to show up. No, it might be November. But November might be like, November, hell, that's way too long. I want them in the summer. Okay, then do what you need to do to speed it up. Take care of you. Put out the energy. Clear your schedule a little bit. Put yourself out in social situations so you start meeting new people, right? Let the word be out. I was very vocal to some friends. I'm like, hey, I've been divorced almost 3 years. How come I'm not getting the setup dates? Come on, hook me up already, right? So I'm putting that energy out there that, hey, I'm ready. I'm finally ready again, right? So you can do the same thing when you truly are feeling ready. And you don't want to rush it, right? Because if the life partner that you attract is going to resonate to where you are now. So I'm going to use frequencies just as a metaphor here. So if you're vibrating at 40 hertz, you're only going to attract somebody that's within maybe 35 to 45 hertz vibration, right? Because if it's too low, it's going to drag you down. And if it's too high, you won't be able to keep up with it. It's not going to last. We always resonate with somebody and stay with somebody that's within a certain margin of our vibration of where we're at. So if you're like, okay, I'm at 40 hertz, but I want this 100 hertz, life partner of my dreams to come into my life, it's not going to happen. There's too big a gap, right? So that's where that part of work on yourself, get yourself as the best possible version as you can. Because if it was the other way around, if you were resonating at 100 hertz and here is this life partner who's down around 40 saying, here I am, you're going to be like, ew, no, I don't want to have to slow myself down to come to you. But what'll happen is you will meet somebody that if you're resonating at 100, they're going to be, people that are coming into your life that are 95 to 105, give or take, right? Again, it's a metaphor, but still, this is how it is energetically. So much of our interactions with people in our life are because of the energy that we're putting out there and the energy that's around us that we're cultivating. So we have a big say in what experiences we have and who we attract in our life, especially someone as significant to us as a life partner. Okay, so I hope that helped. All right. Then we have... Oh, House of Tea says, why do I keep procrastinating? Because you're a human. Isn't that what we all do to a certain degree? Why do we procrastinate? The real reason we procrastinate is because we haven't given enough importance or priority to the thing that we've been putting off. So if something is really, truly important to us and we create a sense of urgency around it, it's going to happen. It's going to get done. So you want to ask yourself, okay, this thing that I'm procrastinating, is it something I need to do, or can I delegate it to somebody else? This thing I'm procrastinating, how important is it to me in my life, in my happiness, and in my being able to create the kind of life I want to create for myself? Is there a way I can make this thing I'm procrastinating seem much more important, because it is important and I really don't want to keep putting it off? How can I make time for it? One thing you can do is put an automatic reminder on your calendar. So if it's, let's say, why am I procrastinating writing that book? Maybe you don't have enough time, or you think you need more time than you do. So put it on your calendar. Give yourself 15 minutes every day to sit down at your desk and type or write, or just sit there. If nothing's flowing, just meditate. But make sure you're giving yourself 15 minutes a day, or a half an hour 2 days a week, or an hour 1 day a week, or whatever is reasonable based on your calendar. So procrastination a lot of time is because we let other distractions take over. Why? The main reason is because we have not remembered how important that thing is that we're procrastinating and why it's important to us. So remembering that and reminding ourselves of that will help us get it done. Okay, let's see. Question is, when persons spread hate even jokingly, Is it really a reflection of their own insecurities? I would have to say yeah to that. A lot of times people will say things that you're like, what was that about? Sometimes it's their own insecurities, but you also have to get to know the people. I will tell you, back in New York, you always razzed, made fun of, and broke the chops of the people you loved and cared about the most. It was like, hey, if I'm making fun of you, if I'm poking you, it's only because I like you, right? And you poke me right back. It's one of the ways. Now, if that's the only kind of interactions you're having from that person, no. There's something else going on. But if it's that once in a while, that jab, that poke, that kind of embarrassing remark or whatever that you do, it's if it's not in the spirit of fun, and that's the culture of that person and where they come from, and they do that with everybody in the family or their circle of friends, and that's one of the ways they show, hey, you're in my circle, because I wouldn't make fun of you unless I cared about you, kind of thing. But you're going to see that that's the pattern. If the only person that they're doing that with is you, and it's not what seems to be normal, then most likely part of it is their insecurity. The phrase spreading hate, that to me is a very charged phrase. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by hate. So if it's like saying bad things about somebody or gossiping or making stuff up about somebody to embarrass them, if those kind of things, trying to hurt them or, make them wrong, or, truly say like they're not a worthy individual because they are of a certain ethnicity or religion or whatever, that kind of stuff, that's usually just ignorance. And sometimes it's programming. And it's sometimes, in this day and age right now, as I said in the beginning of the show, you turn into one news station and you hear them reporting about and talking about an event one way, their perceptions and their reporting of what happened. You turn on a different news station and they're reporting on the exact same incident, and you would think it was night and day. And you're like, how could it be so opposite? How could this be so different? Right. And so now if somebody is watching and listening only to this one station all the time, especially now is when anything's political, or even pseudo-politically based, there's a lot of brainwashing going on and a lot of gaslighting going on and a lot of like, well, you'll believe this if you're in our camp kind of thing. And people are not thinking critically. They're not really judging for themselves. So it's not even a matter of insecurity. Sometimes it's just the laziness of not finding out the real truth or caring about it because they think they already know it. So it could be arrogance as well, right? Arrogance or ignorance. So I wouldn't assume necessarily that they're insecure, unless it's kind of like that nervous laughing kind of, you can usually tell when somebody's making a comment. But typically, if it's an insecurity, they're making fun of themselves. They're putting themselves down. They're not doing that about somebody else. At least that's in my experience. Okay, what else we got here? Okay, yep. So Michelle says, and I agree, energy flows and negative energy will create a ripple effect to the person sending and receiving it. Correct. So we can send healing energy to people. We can send negative energy to people. I never send negative energy to people. Why? Karma, number one. Two is whatever we send will also be reflected back to us by the universe. So I would much rather be sending loving, healing energy all the time and have that reflected back to me than anything negative. Okay, let's see. I'm feeling that night. Okay. Here's a question. What energy does Bilal Shadab have for me since their mom didn't respond for this marriage proposal? Okay. Okay, so this is another case of tuning into somebody else, but I will say your energy around that. Okay, so that's why there's a distance. Okay, so the person interfering is the mom. Yeah, there's something cultural going on here that I'm feeling. There's something about cultural bias and tradition that is interfering with a free and open communication and free and open exchange of energy between you guys. Okay. And then we have what will come up for me in 2026. So one of the things that I feel for not just you, mystical GY5E, we're over time. But I'll very quickly end by saying what's going to come up for 2026. I really feel that this is a year of major transformation and transition for a lot of us. And I'm going to call it even more polarization. So if you're committed to the light and doing good and having positive impact, you will have opportunities for growth and change and doing great things for yourself and for others. There will be prosperity, abundance, positivity flowing to you. If you are on the polarity of negativity, of hatefulness, of hurting others, you're going to continue to have that negative energy swirling around you, and the life will be filled with even more drama, trauma, craziness, right? So choose the light, folks. Choose the path of love, of kindness. Shine your light, share your love, share your gifts, be in touch with your soul's purpose, create a legacy of kindness, and please, whatever you can do, be unconditionally loving and forgiving of yourself and of those around you, and do your best to have a positive impact on the lives of others. If you do that, 2026 will be a year that, although there's a lot of contention and craziness happening in the world, your personal life will be filled with peace. And the circle around you will have this sense of love and peace and productivity and prosperity, and it'll be filled with the accomplishments that you want, and it'll be filled with you becoming more and more in alignment with the you that you want to become, but you just aren't there yet. We're all in this transition of becoming. We're all in this process of trying to become the best version of ourselves as we can for ourselves and for our family and those we love and care about. All right, guys. Well, that's the show. Thanks so much for your comments. Please remember to do all the nice social media things, like, share, ring the bell, tell others, follow. I don't know. This stuff is so technical for me. I just love to share, but do tell your friends. Tune in on Thursday nights live. Tell them to tune in the next day after. They can watch the show afterwards or tune in and listen. I hope there was some messages and meaning that you got out of the show. I appreciate you taking your time out of your life. I know how precious time is these days. So thank you so much for taking the time to tune into the show, for contributing on the chat if you were here live, and for just, wanting to be of service to the light, wanting to be the best possible version of yourself that you can, for wanting to share your light and your love with those around you. You are a good person. You are a worthy person, a lovable, likable, loving person. Don't let anybody ever tell you anything other than that. Okay, y'all. God bless you. Have a wonderful week, and I will tune in. Hopefully you'll tune in again next week. Again, tell your friends. We're hoping to grow the network, so word of mouth helps and matters. So please do your part if you can. All right, y'all. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, take care. Bye now. Gotta figure out how to turn it off again. Let's see. I have to say end stream, and then almost there. See all this technology stuff. It's like, we'll figure it out yet. All right, y'all. Take care. Bye now.
Coming to a YouTube channel near you.